The Buffalo Bills fell to the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday, and I'm here to talk about what matters most coming out of the loss today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino from the Draft Network, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Happy Monday to you, and thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day. And as a reminder to you, we are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Today's episode of Locked On Bills is presented by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. You pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than their PrizePicks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on your entry. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. That's prizepicks.com, promo code LOCKEDON. Well, folks, the Buffalo Bills were defeated by the Minnesota Vikings 33-30 in overtime and fell to 6-3 on the season. Obviously, a very disappointing loss, a heartbreaking loss, one where you felt like the Bills had 100 different opportunities to win the game, but they didn't. And I got to tell you, this is probably the most scatterbrained I have ever been entering a post-game podcast. There's obviously plenty to discuss, but kind of organizing this has been really challenging for me. So I have a bunch of stuff down, and I'm just going to talk, and we're going to see where this goes. And I'll try to have as much clarity of thought as I possibly can as I try to work through my biggest observations and takeaways from this football game against the Minnesota Vikings. I do think we have to start with Josh Allen. And first of all, before we talk about what Josh Allen did in the game, just talk about that he played. All week long, this was a very dramatic situation. Is Josh going to play? Is he not going to play? What's the severity of the injury? Does he need surgery? Will he ever be the same? Very exhausting week. The next thing you know, he starts. They never called up Matt Barkley on Saturday, which gave us a pretty strong indication that he was going to play and be active. And he played and he started the game. And I think that's a good thing, right? Like, obviously, the Bills made a calculated decision to play him, but I don't think they made an irresponsible decision. I don't think the Bills would risk significant repercussions for playing him. I think they probably did exactly what Sean McDermott said they were going to do all week, which is take it one day at a time, evaluate things, ramp them up, and see what happens. And I refuse to believe, given how cautious the Bills are with injuries, that they would do something irresponsible by playing Josh Allen in the football game. And so I think from that injury coming out of the Jets game, I'm sure there's some limitations, some pain management. There's something to it, but I still think you're going to have Josh Allen, right? And I think that's probably the most important thing. And we don't have to think about an extended period of time without him like I was originally planning to be. Josh Allen did a lot of really good things in this football game. 29 of 43, 330 passing yards, a touchdown, 6 carries for 84 yards. Did some really good things. Did some really bad things. The 3 turnovers were killers. Killers. The first interception, 4th and 2 from the 6, 27-17 ball game. And let me stop right there because I agree with the decision to go for it there. It's a 2-score game. And if you kick a field goal, it's still a 2-score game. I have no problem with the decision to go for it. But obviously, a bad ball and a bad decision by Josh Allen. And the real loss there wasn't the fact that they turned over the ball. It was the field position. That ball was snapped from the 6. Patrick Peterson returned the ball to the 34. So you had a big field position swing that you didn't factor into your decision to go for it. No problem with the decision. I have a big problem with the fact that it was an interception returned to the 34-yard line. The second turnover from Josh Allen in this football game was a fumbled snap. And obviously, it cost him the game, right? The Bills' defense bowed up, got a huge goal line stand. You thought you won the game. You're probably just like me. You're celebrating with your family and friends. You just won the game. Nope. Fumbled snap, recovered for a defensive touchdown by the Vikings. Here's my issue with that. Two things. First of all, if I'm not mistaken, that was the only or at least one of very few plays in the game where Josh Allen was under center. And you were counting on him taking that snap and executing a quarterback sneak. Hindsight is 20/20. But that's a tough ask, especially when Josh isn't right, when Mitch Morse is working through his own elbow injury. It's a bad play call. It's just a bad play call, not just because of having him under center, but just the situation. There's other ways to get space. The only thing you couldn't do there was fumble the snap and it be recovered by the Vikings. How about you just have a quick rollout pass, a slant pass, something more manageable from the shotgun that's going to give you a legitimate chance to get some yards. I know that you should be able to quarterback sneak and get that done as well. And if Josh Allen correctly takes that snap, he probably does. And the Bills win the game and they kneel it out and it's over. But you just needed a little space so that you can kneel the ball. Well, there's other ways than just a quarterback sneak to get a little bit of space, especially when you're such a bad short yardage offense. And that's not just hindsight. That's just being aware of, hey, we're a bad short yardage offense, and our quarterback hadn't been under center all game. Is this really the time to do this? I can think of a number of better ways to go about that than what Ken Dorsey had Josh Allen do on that play. And I'm not just reacting to the results, but the results bring into question the decision, and the decision was bad. The third Josh Allen turnover, the last play of the game. Have an opportunity to score a touchdown and win it, or at worst case scenario, you kick a field goal and you tie. And nobody loves ties, but you know what ties are better than? A loss. The Bills tied that ball game. They're in first place still in the AFC East. They lost the game. Guess what? They're in third. Tie's better than a loss. But an underthrown football and a bad decision from Josh Allen. 6 interceptions in the last 3 games, all bad decisions, all bad throws by Josh Allen. These weren't like the Isaiah McKenzie drop pass in week 1 against the Rams that results in an unfortunate interception that gets charged against Josh Allen. That ain't this. These are legitimately bad decisions and bad throws by Josh Allen, and it's killing this football team. Some people want to introduce Ken Dorsey and make him culpable for these interceptions. They're bad decisions and they're bad balls. Maybe you could say that there's an aggressive mindset that exists with Ken Dorsey that feeds into it. Maybe so, but they're bad decisions and bad balls. It's okay to admit that Josh Allen's got to get it fixed. And I have confidence that he will. I do. I have a sample size of Josh Allen playing football that tells me he's not all of a sudden going to become this insane thrower of interceptions, but right now he's in a little bit of a slump with that. Maybe a little bit's probably not a strong enough word. He's in a big slump with that. And it's killing this football team. 6 interceptions the last 3 games. They were all awful. And what's up with them all kind of coming in the red zone? I mean, the Bills have just turned the ball over like crazy this year when they're trying to score touchdowns in the red zone. Awful. Taking points off the board and giving the ball to the other team. Hard to win. Hard to win doing that. Hard to win doing that. All right, I have a ton more to say about the offense, but I got to get a little ad read in here. This episode is brought to you by Total Wine and More. This holiday, find what you love at Total Wine and More. With so many great bottles to choose from, it's easy to find a new favorite single barrel bourbon or the perfect gifts for everyone on your list with some help from a friendly guide. And all with the confidence of knowing you found something special for the lowest price. Find what you love what you find, only at Total Wine and More. Curbside pickup and delivery available in most areas. Visit TotalWine.com to learn more. Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Drink responsibly. Be 21. Told you I had a lot to say, and I got through one bullet point. We got a lot more to get to here on this podcast, but Josh Allen and his performance and him playing and all of that deserved a chunk of our time here. So I think you got to acknowledge the good that came with Josh Allen. He did a lot of good things. He made a lot of good throws. He had a lot of good runs. He did some good things, but my goodness, it's easy to forget all of that and remember the 3 turnovers that ultimately cost the Buffalo Bills this football game. Stephon Diggs. Good game for him, right? 12 catches, 128 yards on 16 targets. Some big-time plays. The one-handed catch was unbelievable. He played well. And I hate saying this, but I feel like the play that stands out the most to me is the drop on 3rd and 15. 27-23 game, 3:36 left. You get a first down there. You move the sticks. You milk more clock. You extend the drive. Steph Diggs couldn't make the play. And I think it stings even more because of all the plays that Justin Jefferson made. And it's not because the pick that Minnesota acquired, trading Diggs, was used for Jefferson, but their guy made the plays. It could be any receiver. It could be any receiver. We'll talk about Justin Jefferson in a minute, but their guy made that play. Our guy didn't. Steph Diggs catches that pass on 3rd and 15 down the left sideline. Bills probably win the game. One of the 100 different opportunities the Bills had to put away the game. I hate that that's my prevailing thought when it comes to Steph Diggs after he caught 12 passes for 128 yards and 16 targets, but damn it, that's what's on my mind. Gabriel Davis. Thought this was a good game for him. I could hardly complain. He was huge in the drive that put the Bills up 24-10. Going into the half, 6 catches, 93 yards, and a touchdown on 9 targets. You take that every time from Gabe, especially because he's been so sporadic, right, with his production this year. He played well in this game. I really can't complain. Devin Singletary, 2 first-half rushing touchdowns, but that fumble on 2nd and 1 was a killer. 2nd and 1, it was a killer. The Bills, Devin converted the first down on 2nd and 1, brought the ball inside the 30-yard line with 3.5 minutes left in the second quarter, and you feel like you're going to go score points on that drive and give the ball to the other team. Tough play. But I think kind of my thought here with Devin Singletary is I like the way he played in this ball game, but what's happening in the second half of these ball games where it feels the Bills are having success running the ball early, and then what happens in the second half? It's not effective. They don't stick with it, and the Bills' offense just becomes very predictable. And they're not getting rushing yards when they need them the most. It feels like against Kansas City, against Green Bay, even last week against the Jets, and then this week, it's like great first half rushing the football. Where is it in the second half? Dawson Knox, 4 catches, 57 yards. Very satisfied with him in this game. I thought He got some good opportunities in the passing game, but also his work as a blocker was phenomenal in this game. I wish he would have caught the ball in the end zone. I know it's kind of a tough play, but I mean, that's what Duke Shelley, what is he? I mean, you're bigger, stronger than that guy. Like, play through him and make the damn catch. Didn't do it. But overall with this offense, the second half run game just disappearing once again. The second halves in general have been embarrassing over the last several games. They haven't scored a second half touchdown since the Kansas City game, 3 games in a row now. In the second half, you hang 3 against Green Bay, 3 against the Jets and lose, 6 against the Vikings and lose. And in all 3 of those games, you had a 2-score lead. And in some of them, a 3-possession lead. I think as a matter of fact, the Bills had a 3-possession lead in every one of the last 3 games. Lost to the Jets, lost to the Vikings. You can put some of that on the defense, but my goodness, do something, offense. But the turnovers are just embarrassing. 4 of them today. This is a football team that just doesn't value the ball. They just don't. And it starts with Josh Allen. He's the main culprit. He turned it over 3 times. The next thing on my notes I have written down is Ken Dorsey with a question mark. These look like bad decisions and bad balls from Josh Allen to me. I take exception with the red zone, right? The red zone offense hasn't been good under Ken Dorsey. The short yardage hasn't been good under Ken Dorsey. There's been situational issues under Ken Dorsey. Well, those interceptions look like bad throws and bad decisions by Josh Allen to me. So, I mean, he's the offensive coordinator. He's very responsible for so much of it. But it's hard for me to put those Josh Allen interceptions on Ken Dorsey. Again, I take exception with a lot of things. The red zone, the short yardage, the situational stuff. But I don't feel like Ken's come into games and not had good game plans. I don't think that's what it's been. And early on in the season, the team was awesome in the second half. Awesome, right? Over the last 3 games, that's changed. Got to figure it out. Have some soul searching to do to get stuff corrected. But we're still talking about an offense that went out there and had nearly 500 yards, 486 yards. They go 7 of 13 on third down, 29 first downs. They average 6.5 yards per play. But all of that is marred by 4 turnovers, going 3 of 6 scoring touchdowns in the red zone. That is not good enough. That is not good enough. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. I hope that you have been getting in on the action over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is my favorite daily fantasy resource. How does it work? You pick 2 to 5 players, and if they will score more or less than their PrizePicks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on any entry. There's no competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available, and PrizePicks has projections for every sport that you can watch. So it's NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, PGA, college sports, cricket, disc golf, Euro basketball, you name it. You can find it over at PrizePicks. And entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It is that easy. So download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. So if you deposit 100, PrizePicks will give you 100. If you deposit 50, PrizePicks will give you 50. Just don't forget to use promo code LOCKEDON at sign up for an instant deposit match worth up to $100. Let's talk a little bit about this defense here. And I guess by talking about the defense, I want to talk about Justin Jefferson, 18 for the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, what a player, right? What a player. He killed the Bills. What do you have? 10 catches, 193 yards, and a touchdown. I think this from Next Gen Stats pretty much sums it up. I mean, this is one of the special performances you'll ever see. Justin Jefferson was responsible for 9 receptions with a sub 50% completion probability, the most in a game by any receiver in the Next Gen Stats era. No other player has had more than 6. Jefferson, 9 of his 10 receptions came with a sub 50% completion probability. The guy made plays. It wasn't like he was running free through the Bills secondary. That wasn't the case. The dude was just making insane plays. And I think the best compliment that you can give a player on an opposing team that your favorite team roots against and you're having to experience this in real time is it just felt inevitable. When the Bills were on defense and it was 3rd and long or whatever, I felt like all Kirk Cousins had to do is throw it within the zip code of Justin Jefferson and he was going to make the play. Just an unbelievable game for number 18 for the Minnesota Vikings. And you could say maybe there was a need for the Bills to do more, to take him out of the game, bracket him, double cover, whatever. The guy made insane plays. He made 9 insane plays. And if he makes half of them, they don't win the game. This guy was special today. 4th and 18. One of the million opportunities the Bills had to put the game away. They couldn't do it. 4th and 18. Now, Cam Lewis has got to knock that ball down. Went for the interception. That was bad. Knock it down. Justin Jefferson made an unbelievable play. The 3rd and longs on defense are insane to me. The amount of 3rd and longs that other teams are converting against the Bills on defense is insane to me. 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15, 4th and 18. It's almost like you'd rather have them in 3rd and 5. But this goes back to something I said last week on the podcast. The Bills' pass rush is not good enough. It's not. It doesn't show up consistently enough. I know they had 4 sacks in this game, and so shout out to Von Miller, Boogie Basham, AJ Epinesa, Oliver, and Lawson. They shared a sack. 4 sacks is good, but there's not consistent enough pressure. 4 sacks, but Kirk Cousins dropped back to pass 54 times. They got to show up more. They got to affect the quarterback more on a snap-to-snap basis, especially these interior guys. I know Ed Oliver had some quarterback hits in this game, and he did have a sack. He affected the game at times, but not consistently enough. Tim Settle, where you at, dude? Jordan Phillips, where you at, dude? Need more. Those are bad guards. Those are bad interior offensive linemen that the Vikings have. They lost Darisaw at a certain point in the game, right? Jake Brandel's coming in, their backup left tackle. They found a way to get it done. The Bills have had matchups that I feel like they should dominate with their defensive linemen against offensive linemen all year long, and they don't do it consistently enough. This pass rush has to be better. I know they have moments, but when I look at these 3rd and longs that are being converted against this football team, every time it feels like, where's the pass rush? I know they have moments, but I need more. How about this secondary? Can you believe the makeup of this secondary? Cam Lewis and Damar Hamlin are your starting safeties. Dane Jackson, Christian Benford, your starting corners. So you have a UDFA making his first ever start at safety in Cam Lewis, recently converted over to the position this year. A 6th-round rookie in Christian Benford out of Villanova. 6th-rounder in Damar Hamlin and a 7th-rounder in Dane Jackson. All these guys are on rookie deals. Cannot believe that that's where the Bills are at with this secondary. I thought they had some good moments. Cam Lewis had big moments, right? I mean, 4th and 18 is going to loom large, but I thought he played overall pretty decent. Christian Benford had an interception, 3 pass breakups, a big run tackle. I thought Benford played well. Dane Jackson had a good run stop, tackle for loss, and an interception in this game. And I thought Damar Hamlin, once again, kind of played solid, made some physical tackles. They love to blitz him. Looking like he could be a starter for this team. You know, like beyond this year. Obviously, he's the starter this year. But, like, maybe he's your guy next year opposite of Micah Hyde. I'm feeling better and better about that. Tremaine Edmonds, you could tell the defense missed him in the second half. He was awesome in coverage in that first half. And all of a sudden, you know, they're finding a little bit more in that passing game in the second half. Tremaine Edmonds isn't on the field. You could feel that his presence was missed big time. Big time. How about that Dalvin Cook 71-yard touchdown run? 27-10 ball game. And they get a quick 71 yards. The Bills' run defense was pretty good in this game otherwise. I think they had 11 rushes for 25 yards before that. I mean, and even with the 71-yard gain, I mean, Dalvin Cook was pretty bottled up. But what happened on the 71-yard touchdown run? From watching the broadcast view, A.J. Epinesa got too far up the field. Matt Milano got caught inside on a block. Damar Hamlin came downhill. He took on the block square, got pinned inside. Dalvin Cook knew to go outside based on the leverage of that block. He juked out Christian Benford. A bad angle from Cam Lewis. 71 yards later, it's no longer a 3-possession game. That's how it happened. I thought the special teams did some good things in this game. Tyler Bass, 3 of 3 on field goals, 3 of 3 on extra points. Nyheim Hines did a great job as a punt returner, fielding some of those balls off the hop and not allowing it to run and getting the Bills in better field position. I think his decision-making and ball handling has been phenomenal. I love having Nyheim Hines back there. I think he's terrific. Sam Martin averaging 51 yards on 3 punts is very good. And then I thought their punt and kick coverage was really good outside of the 139-yard return by Kene Nwangu, who's just a great player. But on the other 2 opportunities that he had that the Bills didn't choose to have a touchback, I thought the special teams coverage was really good. The thought in my head right now is I look in a minute, I'm going to look at my predictions and do all that type of stuff. But the Bills are 6-3. Is it as simple as saying stop turning over the ball? Is it that simple? Like, are the Bills, if the Bills are taking care of the football at a reasonable rate, literally not the worst in the league like they are right now, did they lose this game? Did they lose the Jets? Did they lose the Dolphins? Is it that simple? Stop turning over the ball, take care of the football, you're going to be fine? Are we having unnecessary conversations about game planning in the second half on offense and pass rush? You talk about it, but you wouldn't feel like you do right now. That's what this comes down. It's turnovers. They turned it over 4 times in 13 drives against Minnesota. That's 31% of their offensive possessions were turnovers. And think about when they came. One that results in a defensive touchdown because you fumble it in their end zone. 2 red zone interceptions and a fumble by Devin Singletary that converts a 2nd and 1 and gets the ball inside the 30 like you're on the brink of the red zone. Is that an oversimplification, or is it really just that simple? Stop turning over the football at the highest rate in the NFL. The highest. They were the highest at like 20% coming into this game, and they just turned it over 31% of the time against Minnesota. You make it tough on yourself when you do that. We've said it a million times. You've heard Sean McDermott say it. You've heard Josh Allen say it. The statistic in the NFL that is most correlative to winning and losing is turnovers. And the Bills are just awful at that right now. And a lot of it's 17. Bad decisions and bad balls. All right, let's look real quick at my predictions and then, of course, set the tone for the rest of the week here on the podcast and what's next for the Bills. My predictions, my first one was that all 3 backs, Hines, Singletary, and Cook, would have at least 3 touches on offense. That didn't happen. Duke Johnson getting called up for this game complicated that. The Bills had 5 running backs active. I think 6 if you include Reggie Gilliam. But obviously Singletary and Cook got the 3 that I needed from them. But then Hines has 1 catch and Duke Johnson has 2 rushes. So what I was trying to communicate through the prediction is that the Bills would get more running backs going. Happened. It just didn't happen in the way I said it would. I got it wrong. I got the next one correct. 100 yards for Stephon Diggs. He had 128. That was a slam dunk. I said whoever wins the turnover battle wins the game. Yep. Bills had 4 turnovers. Vikings had 2. Vikings win. I said the Bills would hold the Vikings under 21 points. That didn't happen. They got 33. I guess if the Bills didn't turn over 4 times, maybe that would have been the case. And then I predicted the Bills would win. That didn't happen. So I go, 2 for 5 this week. Next up for the Buffalo Bills is a home game against the Cleveland Browns. Big one, right? Got to start getting some wins. You can't lose 3 in a row. You got to win this one, and then you get a short week in Detroit. Play the Patriots. You can right the ship pretty quickly here, but you got to do it. As for the AFC East, the Dolphins now in first place. They're 7-3. They beat the Browns 39-17. I think they have a bye week coming up, so they will be your division leaders. I think. Well, it depends on the Jets and Patriots play next week, but the Dolphins are in first place 7-3. The Jets didn't play this week. They had a bye. They're 6-3. In second place, the Bills are in third, 6-3. The Patriots had a bye. They're 5-4. As I've stated many times on this podcast, nobody cares what the standings are after week 10. A lot of ball game left. There's a lot to sort out. The teams will decide this. So there's no victory laps for anybody to take after week 3 or 4 or 5 or 10. A lot of ball game left, but the Bills obviously have to stop turning over the football and win games that they're supposed to win. Remember last year, 2021? The Bills were 7-6. Got their butts kicked by the Colts. They lost 9-6 to the Jaguars. But at the end of it, people thought it was the Bills' year. People thought the Bills were the best team in the NFL. People thought it was the best chance the Bills would ever have to win the Super Bowl. 7-6. Remember that? Coming out of that Tampa game, 7-6. Butts kicked by the Colts, a 9-6 loss to the Jags. You lost to the Steelers. They can still do it. They can still do it. But they got to start taking care of the football and playing smart, playing good situational ball. Have a short yardage offense. Be better in the red zone on offense. Figure out how to get off the field on 3rd and longs on defense. It all feels very correctable to me. It all feels very correctable to me. But they got to go out and do it. Tomorrow is herd mentality. Looking forward to that. It's Sunday night and I'm loaded up with questions. So looking forward to sorting through those tomorrow and recording that podcast. And then, of course, getting ready for the Cleveland Browns. So make sure that you are subscribed. We'd love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. And I look forward to catching up with you again tomorrow.